Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jason and I am your watch guy today. Today I have another Kickstarter watch for you. It is currently live and they are fully funded, which I'm not shocked, to be honest, because they are offering something at a real budget price that's pretty attractive. And I think you guys are going to be interested in it. And that's why I was very eager to have them on the channel. Now this watch is from OSO. It is their Orbit Hybrid Chronograph. I'll get into the hybrid part later. If you wanted to back them on Kickstarter right now, they are at £167. Here is the campaign. They're pushing for some stretch goals at the moment. They've already unlocked the first one, which is a free NATO strap with your watch. The next one will be different colorways that you can pick from. And the third one will be a bracelet, as you can see there. So if you did want to back their campaign after this video, obviously watch the video first, you know. Their link is in the description, and I think it is a very nice option for a 70s styled watch that is at a really affordable budget. So let me turn this camera around and let me show you why. So guys, let me introduce you to the OSO Orbit Hybrid Chronograph. This is the Mirage colorway. Has a really lovely green enamel dial. Has some nice white accents too. Let me just get into the dimensions of this watch for you, and then we'll get into the actual styling cues of it. So this is 41mm in diameter here to here. We are in at 12.4mm thick, which is very manageable, especially considering the size of the bezel on this one. Lug to lug, it is 46mm, which is very wearable for a lot of people. And the lugs are 20mm, so you won't find it very hard to find a new strap for this one if you don't fancy the gorgeous leather band that they have offered this one on. So this one is packed with a Seiko VK64, which a lot of you out there will know that is a Mecaquartz movement, a Mecaquartz chronograph movement to be precise. So I'll just set off this chronograph, tick along here. And as you can see, it moves very smoothly like a mechanical watch. And that is the mechanical aspect of this movement, obviously powered by batteries still. I'll just stop it here with the pusher and click it straight back. That reminds me a lot of the ST19 movement, that instant click. I really like that in a chronograph. It does me head in when they kind of like swoop all the way back around. I don't know why, but it does. So let's talk about OSO. They are a Singapore-based company. This is their first release and it is a Kickstarter release. So that is a crowdfunding website. Obviously you pay at the end of the campaign and they give you a delivery date. They take all the money and go and set these watches up for you and then deliver them. It has a lot of 70s styling to it with a little bit of a modern twist. So as I mentioned in the intro, this is priced at 299 Singapore dollars, which roughly translates to 167 of the Queen's best British pounds. So they have reached their first stretch goal. I believe they're just under 25k at the moment. That one gets you a free NATO strap with your watch. The next one unlocks different colorways. So you could pick this enamel dial up, this green enamel dial with a stainless steel case if you're not fancying this little gold number. And the one after that unlocks a stainless steel bracelet, which obviously is a bonus to any watch. This campaign runs through to the 10th of December, so you've got a little bit of time to get onto it, but make sure you don't miss it if you're into this watch, because the prices will soar once they are at retail, and everyone wants to get that bargain, don't they? So let's talk about the watch itself. It is built in 316L stainless steel. This casing here, it has a sort of copper tone to the casing. That is not a bronze case, it is just the coating on top, but it does add very nicely to the styling. There's a mixture of brushed and polished finishing on this casing here. So as you can see on the top of the casing, it is nice and brushed, and also down the side here we have some lineal brushing. But it is accented very nicely with the high polished cutaways on the edge of the dial, a nice piece of machine in there, as well as that the bezel is very high polish. So moving on to the crown, it is nicely oversized, and as you will probably know if you've watched my videos before, I do like an oversized crown. I like it to have some presence. It's got some good levels of grip on this one. You won't have any difficulty set in your time, and it does come signed with that OSO logo, which I think is a nice piece of quality, especially at this price. As well as that, it is surrounded by these pushers here, these chronograph pushers. Now I'm really glad that they've really thought of the chronograph pushers on this one. Nice angular, almost triangular to the bird's eye view pushers on this one with a polished finish which accents the brushing on the side. Quite functional, but also adds a nice piece of style, these pushers. We have a screw down stainless steel caseback on this one, and it is very nicely decorated. This is our solar system with a view of this mountain plain in the foreground. I actually saw this in the designs and I thought that is one of the nicest casebacks that I have probably ever seen on a watch. Just so intricate and so pretty. Also has a lot of information around this caseback, so Japan hybrid movement, sapphire crystal, which I will get onto, stainless steel 316L, OSO, and then a model number here I presume, or a serial number. Water resistance rating, special edition. Now I believe the special edition relates to the Kickstarter edition, which means you will get this caseback. I don't think the future retail pieces will have that caseback. So again, if you're a fan of that, you need to get onto the Kickstarter. We have a slightly domed sapphire crystal on this OSO, a very nice piece, and it does really set off a bit of the style. And when you catch this watch at an angle, very nice crystal in this one. Now this casing obviously has a very nice 70s vibe to it, as well as the dial, which I will get into. But the casing has really nice angular touches to it, nice finishing, and the angular lugs on this one, as you can see down here, really do align with these angular pushers, and I like the entire design and how it's put together. I think that's really been thought out and executed very well, and that's not something that always happens with these Kickstarter watches. I've seen plenty that have just been picked up from an AliExpress site and thrown together, or an Alibaba site and thrown on Kickstarter to try and make a quick buck. This one has obviously been very well thought out, and it has some very nice styling cues. Now finishing off with the casing, this one actually has 100 meters of water resistance. Now obviously we're definitely edging more to a dress style, sports style watch, so 100 meters is pretty sufficient in my mind. This lovely green dial is actually an enamel dial. It has nice applied indices around the dial itself. We have a double baton at 12. It's loomed in the center with stainless steel borders, and that flows through the rest of the indices, although they are singular batons. We don't have an indice at 3 or 9, and the date window takes across the 6 o'clock indice. I actually quite like how that fits into the dial. Usually with it not being a colour matched date wheel, it takes away a little bit, but because of the white accents on this watch, I think it fits in quite well, and I like that it's at the 6 o'clock. It gives this watch a nice piece of symmetry in the dial, and I love a bit of symmetry in my watches. The dial itself looks like it's a very premium colour, and I think that's down to the enamel aspect of this dial. So the dial is surrounded with this tachymeter chapter ring, which has the tachymeter markings out in white, which again flows nicely with the design. We have a racing type of feel to this minute track, I believe, and that flows again with the rest of the design, the tachymeter chapter ring, this chronograph aspect. And I think what this really does set off for me is 70s racing. That's the feeling that I get from this watch. I don't know if that's exactly what they were going for, but that's where it's hit for me. I really do like the white accented subdials. I think that goes very nicely with the rest of the dial, especially that green enamel, and I think it flows really nicely. So this subdial over here is the chronograph subdial for the minute markers. We have a 24-hour indicator over here, and I actually really appreciate that on a watch because it helps me when I'm setting the date, and it helps me set the time perfectly. It just makes it a little bit quicker for me. One really smart thing that they have done here is take away that second hand. Obviously we have this second hand chronograph ticking away that I've just set off, but taking away the second hand makes the watch look less robotic to me. Obviously we still have that quartz aspect, and taking away the second hand sort of gives it more of an automatic type of feel. Obviously at £167, we're not going to expect a automatic chronograph in this one, but it does give that feel. I'll just set this chronograph back to its start position. So up at the 12 o'clock here, we have the OSO logo. That is printed nicely in white, which again accents the dial very well. Down here at the 6 o'clock, we have the hybrid chronograph. Hybrid printed in white and the chronograph in yellow. Another nice aspect of this watch is the depth in the dial. So obviously we have this chapter ring that flows into the dial and gives it a nice 3D aspect coming out of the casing. We also have nicely recessed subdials. I believe they could even be a separate dial from that cutaway. This really does give a nice 3D effect to me, and I love that in a dial. I love a dial to have a little bit more to look at, you know, it has a little bit of presence. Now this watch does have C3 Super Luminova applied to the indices and the handset. Now I'm just going to insert the Lume Shot just here for you. As you can see, it's not the best lume in the world, and I will come back to that, but C3 Super Luminova is what I'd kind of expect at this price range. It is applied well to the indices and applied to the hands also. Finishing off this dial, the hands are in a sword style fashion, and they do have that centre of lume just at the tips. Nice polished stainless steel effect to them, and that flows with the rest of the hands on the dial, the sub hands and the chronograph hand, so it does flow very nicely, this dial. Now this one is supplied on a leather band, and as you can see here, they have actually imprinted the OSO logo, which is quite nice to see. Genuine leather brown band. I think the brown band goes very well with this colour design. I think it flows really nicely, and it does add to that 70s feel, that 70s vibe, I think. Moving to the buckle, this is a stainless steel buckle, and it does have a little bit of presence to it. Nicely colour matched also with the OSO logo imprinted on the tip. Very nice to see. That's a brushed buckle there, and we have two leather keepers. Nice stitching on this too. So let me throw this on wrist and give you an idea of the wrist shot and how this fits to my wrists. So guys, this is the OSO Orbit Hybrid Chronograph on wrist. Quite a nice watch. It is very stylish. It's very fashionable at the moment, I think. It also does have some really, really nice aspects to the actual specification. So it's not just all fashion, but it is a pretty fella on wrist. And I think a lot of people will really like this type of design. And I think a lot of people will be interested in this watch. Now, let me just get to my moan section and see if this watch is actually for you. So, first of all, it's not the most comfortable for me to wear. I don't think I'd be able to wear it as a daily watch. I think this would be a occasion watch for me. I think that's due to my wrist size though. Maybe I just haven't had enough time to wear it in and get used to it, but not exactly what I'm used to, I'd say. I don't think that's going to be the aspect for everyone, and I've looked at a lot of other reviews, and I don't think that's how it is for other people. I think that's just my wrist size at the moment. Another thing is this crown, or at least the movement action. It's actually very, very light. Like, it kind of feels like I'm not engaging anything. Obviously I am, but I don't know, I feel like I like my crowns to have a little bit of substance to them. And finally, I don't know if you'd have seen it in the Lume Shot, but the lume applied to the hands is quite uneven. So hopefully that's something that they'd fix in production. Obviously this is still a prototype, but yeah, it's slightly uneven for me. Aside from that, I have nothing to moan about. It's a gorgeous watch. It's going to fit a lot of people due to the style of it. It's going to be that piece in your collection, you know, that really, really good looking 70s piece. I definitely think it's something that if you're into this design, this type of style, you should be looking at. If you need that sort of 70s racing chronograph in your life at a budget, this is definitely something to look at. And if you are interested, get onto the Kickstarter campaign and save yourself a little bit of money, because these are still at a very, very low price for what it is, I believe. So guys, there is my review of the OSO Hybrid Chronograph, the Orbit. Very, very nice watch. I mean, styling wise, it's perfect for a lot of people. A lot of people are into that 70s racing type of feel. And I don't think this is the last that we're going to hear from OSO. I think after this campaign, they're going to nail another watch. I can see that they've got that type of vibe to them, you know, that type of drive. And I would love to see what they do after this. Because for a first watch, for their first release, this is pretty impressive, especially at that price. One other thing that I failed to mention, that hybrid name kind of doesn't sit well with me. And that's because it makes it sound like something that it isn't. I get that a meca-quartz movement, kind of a hybrid between a mechanical watch and a quartz watch. But I don't know, I just feel like it's a bit of a weird one for me. It just doesn't sit perfectly well. But it's only what they're calling it, and they're very clear about what the movement is, so it is what it is. That's just, I guess, my brain working a bit overtime. If you want to pick this watch up, if you want to get involved in their Kickstarter campaign, the link is in the description, and I would be very grateful if you also subscribe to the channel. I have plenty more content for you to see, so definitely worth sticking around, especially if you watch to this point. Thank you for watching this, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.